Okay, I wanted to share about our discussion that we've been having recently about, let's see, this one, about incident response. Oops, wrong screen. Incident response, because that's what we're doing with our stuff with the Federal Trade Commission. That's the right screen. Okay, there we go. And if you take a look, this is from October and November, and we are just working on it on a day-to-day basis. I notice that we've got some real numbers being generated by Marcus and Twyla. They are both just jumping out there trying to beat me by the end of the month. And just so you know, I have 3 certificates that I will issue to you if you do at least one incident report each month. One is a certificate of completion, which says I did incident response analyst work for this month. The second one is for the one mentee that submits the most incident response reports. And right now, Twyla is the person to beat. I'm just saying, Twyla, you've jumped out ahead, and you will see if any of us can catch up with you. But so Twyla is the person to beat. But look at what happened last month. The last day of the month, on the 31st, Twyla jumped in and did 11 reports. So you can do it early, you can do it late, you can do it throughout the month, whatever works best for you. But whoever gets the one mentee that does the most reports will be issued the award of top incident response analyst. If there's a tie, you both will get it, okay? If there's a tie, but otherwise it's only issued to one. And then the third one, and this is just a kind of a fun one, and Twyla was the first one to get it this month, and that's called I Beat My Mentors. If you put together more reports than any of the mentors, I don't mean all of them combined, but any of the mentors. So let's see, I've got 4, 6. I've only done 6 this month. So I need to get on the ball. But anybody who beats my numbers, I'm going to get you a certificate that says I beat my mentors. And Twyla, you won it for the very first time last month. I'm very proud of you. I am vanquished. I give up. You won in October, but I'm coming back for you in November. So that's just how you do it. Now, the way to get this, let me pull up my drive and I'll show it to you. The way you get to it, and I will put the link into our chat here. Let me view the form. So here's the form, and here's the link to it. Keep this link handy. Put a shortcut on your desktop or whatever, but you do your reports over at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Then, for whatever you've done, you log it over here so that I can look at it and report what you've done. Okay, and I can verify that. So you just say, you know, here's my name, the date I did this, how long I spent, the number of reports that I submitted, and this is optional. You can say they're, you know, fraudulent emails or whatever, and submit, and then keep on going. I tried to make this as short as possible. So you just say me, the date, how long I spent, how many reports I did, done, and get on with your day. But this is how we see what you saw before with the spreadsheet. All right, this is where those responses go. That was, okay, yeah, I wanted to show you, let's go to report fraud. Reportfraud.ftc.gov. When you do a report, this is the main screen you're going to be on. Most of the time, the individual that you're going to be reporting on is going to be an impersonator. It could be something else, could be health, could be a job or investment or money-making opportunity or franchise. Another one that I do frequently is where it says sweepstakes, prize, or lottery, because, and then you say they want a money or a prize, because it says click here to get your $1,000 JCPenney gift card. That's a prize. All right, so that's how you would do it. Number one is, like you were saying, I think, Siobhan, you were saying that it came from, you think it came from Norton. They would be an impersonator who claimed they were Norton, but they weren't. So impersonator is always a good one if you don't have anywhere else to report it, and you could say they were a well-known or trusted business. Now, the next page, when you go to it, they're going to ask some questions. These questions are typically associated with someone who has already been scammed, not someone who caught it before they responded. Hopefully, you and everyone around you are not already victims and have been paying money or whatever to these folks. If so, there's more to be reported here. But it says, did they offer to fix a problem with your computer? No. Did you send them payment of any kind? No. Did they ask you to pay or send money? Frequently for the fraudulent ones, it's no. They want you to call them, and then they'll say, oh yeah, but we need to get your bank information so that we can process your refund. Yeah, no. So that's typically what I do. I'll do a fraudulent no, and it came through email. But as you notice, Siobhan, you asked, or Melanie, you can do texts. You can even do in person. If somebody knocks on your door and says, hi, I'm collecting money for, flood victims in Malawi or something, and you know that they're not, this is where you can report it. So social media, any one of these, but typically on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be email or texts. All right, so I'll do email, and they'll say, what was the sender's email address? This is the most important one to capture, because that says, where is it from? Now, I'm going to go over to the incident response mailbox, and we're going to just look at one quickly. It says your package is out for delivery, and it says UPS. Okay, I'm going to try and scroll this up so you can see a little more. There we go. It says UPS, your package is out for delivery. So this is supposedly something from UPS. But you notice it says it's from info@blah, blah, 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 blah.uk.com. That's what they mean when they say the sender's email address. It's whatever's within those brackets. That's what they want. They don't want all that other stuff, just what's in the brackets. And so that goes in your report right here. And then, you put the information, spam with missing or misleading. Sure, subject line where they said it's a missing package. It's not. I'm sorry, Siobhan, I see that you're leaning forward to see it. You're probably on your smartphone, aren't you? Okay, well, I can't make your phone any bigger, but next time computer would help, or a tablet. And then the date, you put the date in there, and the details about the scammer. Who did they pretend to be? In this case, you'd say UPS, who they think they were. And then in the contents, what I do, and I sort of recommend everybody do this, you copy this entire message and paste it in. All right, copy the entire message. Now, when you do, there's one thing that you will not get when you do a copy and paste. If I copy and paste it, it's going to come over here in the form of text. And then down at the very bottom, and this is just something you learn from email, put links, colon, and then over in the email, if you see it changes to, like for me, it's my hand, my finger, right click, copy link address, and then when I come back to the report, under links, I'll paste that in as well, and then submit. Oh, I'm sorry, don't submit. You have to tell who it was aimed at. If you're reporting on someone else's behalf, you say yes, and this is your information, and then you'll come down here to person you're filing the report for, put their information, and then submit, okay? It's about as simple as you can be. You cannot forward email to the FTC. They don't want your spam. They want you to describe the spam. It doesn't hit their mail filters. This goes straight to a plain text database. So there's nothing nefarious that can get into the Federal Trade Commission. But that's how you do it, all right? And I just wanted to, leave the page. I wanted to show you that. All right, any questions before we move on to incident response? Siobhan.
Yes, the question was, so for instance, a text message, say for instance you have it, would you do, how would you put the information in the text message? I mean, in there as far as the text message.
Yep, we'll say no, and we'll say it came in from a text message. When you do, you notice it changes. Okay. There's no longer that, big stuff. I'm receiving unwanted texts. And what was the sender's phone number or short code? In other words, the 55898 or something, that goes in here. Or if it's a phone number, that goes in there. When did you encounter it? And who did they pretend to be? And if you can, copy and paste it in here. But if you can't, you have at least gotten the source and who they claimed they were. That is enough for a fraud case. Make sense?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
As far as if you have family member or friend, they should forward the text to you?
Well, they can do it two ways. You always offer them the opportunity to report it themselves, but most people won't. They'll say, nah, it's not worth my time. So here's where you can help teach them. Number one, if you don't report it, send it to me and I'll report it on your behalf. Because the FTC says, please report. We're not doing anything that they haven't asked us to do. So if you don't do it, I'll do it for you. And then number two, never delete spam or phishing emails. Always mark them as spam or phishing or fraudulent or trash or junk or whatever. Don't just delete them. That's the two things they can do to help reduce or at least increase the evidence that's possible to prosecute these hoodlums. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Sure. Okay, so the main thing that I wanted to share about today was that I went out to Indeed, and we're talking about incident response. I went out to Indeed, and I said, Incident Response Analyst. And they said, oh, well, there's only 1,980 jobs. Oh, let me zoom up so you can see this, Siobhan. 1,980 jobs that say Incident Response Analyst. Okay, that's nationwide. Of course, you can do it for your local area here, city, state, or zip code, or remote. Remote? Yeah, you can do incident response analysis remotely. How do I know that? I grabbed the very first one I found when I did this search. This is the first one of 1,980, okay? And I said, incident response analyst. What is it that an incident response analyst does? And the first thing I want you to think about here, the first thing is not the technical skills. Because what does the first sentence say? You gotta have passion. They don't say if you're a super techie. They don't say if you've got degrees or certifications or whatever. Now, they do ask about that later, but they want people with the drive and the initiative and the desire, like it says, help protect our clients. That's where your mind needs to be, not, hey, I'm good at techie stuff. I like computers. I've heard that so many times. I like computers. I like computers too. I like my cell phone, but that doesn't mean that, that's my career. So we have to find a way to differentiate ourselves. And one of the ways to do it is, like I'm saying, volunteer to help your family and friends and neighbors, then put that in your resume. Volunteer to be a mentee here, then put that in your resume. Volunteer to do incident response analyst work. Those are two different things, by the way. Cybersecurity mentee, incident response analyst. Two different bits of work, but they're both through CS-Sensei. But those are two experience blocks for your resume. All right? So remember that. They're looking for someone with passion. And it's very difficult to convey passion, but you've got to be able to show that. You've got to be able to show that you are already working to make a difference. So they're going to get 1,000 applicants, and it's going to say, I got a degree, I got this certification, hire me. Throw it away. I got this degree, I got this certification, hire me. Throw it away. Remember, and we began this a couple years ago, how long, okay, I'm going to ask Siobhan, because you're new. I'm picking on you. How long does a prospective hirer or HR manager spend looking at your resume?
Not at all. Not long at all. They look for the first 3 lines or something, and then if it doesn't fall under what they're looking for, they pass it on.
According to the industry, it's less than 10 seconds. And in some cases, it's less than 7 seconds. So you got to hit them with power right up front, where they look at it and they go, that's what you want. You snag them, and then they'll say, oh, all right, I'll look at this in a minute, and then go on to this, throw that away, throw that away, throw that away, come back to Siobhan. Now let me take a look at this. That's what you want. You want to make it through that initial filter, and you've got to have something that grabs their attention. Okay, so as an incident response analyst, you have to demonstrate your passion. They're asking for your passion. So it's got to be right there up front. And you can't just say, I have a passion for cybersecurity. That's not what they're trying to say. Because everybody says that. I'm a hard worker. As opposed to what? You come into an interview and you say, well, I'm a hard worker. So do the people that I just saw who didn't say that, are they not hard workers? That is not a powerful phrase. That's sort of a fill-in. When you don't hear anybody talking, you could say, well, I'm a hard worker. Nah, make it powerful. Make it powerful. So let's take a look at this and just get an idea of how much of this is technical and how much is honestly administrative. Things you can learn easily. Oh, I used to do this over at the supermarket, or oh, I used to do this for my HOA. Take a look at this. Participate in drafting and reviewing process documentation. Have you ever written an SOP? Standard operating procedures? Do this, click this, enter this, done. That's an SOP. You participated in drafting and reviewing. If somebody else did an SOP and you looked at it and said, yeah, it looks good, you reviewed procedures, okay? That's what they're looking for. manage the archival and retention of evidence and artifacts required for security audits. When you file in the incident response thing at the FTC, you'll get an email that says complaint has been filed and it has a file number. Don't delete that, because then what you've done is you have retained artifacts for later security audits, like when I come and say, prove to me that you did 9 incidents yesterday. All right, and I hope to periodically be able to do that. Expect that I will, and save your reports. Done. All right, so that is not technical. That is administrative. Okay, so keep up to date on latest information security threats and countermeasures. How do you do that? Well, you come in here every week and we share about news that we've seen or podcasts we listen to or whatever. You're keeping up to date. That's how you do it. So, you know, many of these are not technical. Coordinate response, escalation, tracking, and analysis of incidents. Participate, oh, look at this. Participate in the information security incident response life cycle. What do you think you're doing with the Federal Trade Commission? And I have to remind you, every time this is, and I'm going to share this every time I do this, when you are performing work forwarding spam and phishing emails that have arrived in somebody's inbox, what are they called in reference to security events? This is important. This is on your Security Plus exam, and it will be in your interview when they ask you to describe what you did as an incident response analyst. Anybody remember what they're called? 2 words. When it makes it into my inbox, it made it through the filter, which means the filter did not see it as an incident, right? It made it into my inbox. Harminder, do you remember what it's called?
No. So when I think you say if the filter did not catch the phishing email or anything, so then what I have to be do or whom I have to be report?
Yes, but what is it called when you're taking your Security Plus exam? What is it called? And also, the reason I'm doing this, I want you to become acquainted with this so that you can talk about it when you're in your interview. Anybody remember?
Forget, oh my God.
So false negative is audit or no?
Yes, absolutely. False negative. Remember that, because it's going to get you through your exam, and when you're sitting there in your interview and they say, what did you do as an incident response technician? Describe what you did. Oh, I reported false negatives to the Federal Trade Commission because they prosecute fraud. That is exactly right. False negative. And remember that. False negatives. And we had somebody last week ask, they said, how do I know the difference between a false positive and false negative? Think about the positive and negative in reference to the filter that was supposed to catch it. The filter let it pass and did not mark it as spam, so that the filter said it's not spam and let it through. That was the negative. But it was wrong because it was spam, made it to the inbox, so you are, number 1, reporting it to the Federal Trade Commission, number 2, reminding your family and friends to mark it as spam so their system won't let it through again. So false negative. Always remember that. That's our claim to fame here. We do false negatives reporting. All right? So let's see. I'm looking at this. Now here it says provide forensic analysis of network packet captures. Remember you talked about network sluts. Here it is. Network packet captures, DNS, proxy, malware, host-based security, and application logs. This is the geeky network stuff that your Network Plus will help with. So there it is. As an incident response analyst, when they're hiring, that's what they're looking for. You may only be able to have the administrative side of it, but you know the process. And they say, well, I can teach you about, how to work this particular firewall or do these logs. Look for this, report this here. Nobody is going to expect you to be the sole analyst. No, you are going to be part of a team that's doing this. So they're looking to fill the position. Why? Because if they don't hire somebody soon, then the senior analysts have to keep doing extra work to fill in for this vacancy. So they want to hire so their seasoned folks don't get burned out and leave. Decide they want to go open a florist shop instead or whatever. So there is a reason for them to hire you. You are just taking the opportunity to see, do I fit? And that's their decision. You just want to come with all of your guns blazing and say, I want to do this. I enjoy this. This is fun for me. Okay? So, and here's another one. It says, maintain an up-to-date understanding of industry best practices. That's easily done by listening to NIST podcasts or reviewing whenever you see something new that NIST announces or whatever, go take a look at it. You don't have to read it to the nth detail, but understand that it's out there. That's a best practice. Okay? So yes, there are some technical things in here, but this says participate on the team. This is draft and review procedures. Harminder, you are not muted. Please mute. Thank you. So when you look at this, a lot of it is not technical. It's procedural. And that's what we practice at. You get experience, you get the procedures. You showed me describe the steps. That's the procedures. Somebody wants to write up the SOP, I will gladly add it to our process here if you want to write up the steps, because then you will have drafted an SOP for incident response. What a great thing to put on your resume. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to give you these opportunities. So get started. Do a little bit. Do what you can. And also, like you saw me report on Facebook recently, I said, do these things. And guess what? After a while, your family, friends, and neighbors are going to thank you. I don't even recall seeing where it went. Okay, your spheres of influence are going to thank you because you're helping them. And my neighbor, literally 60 feet in that direction, called me and said, I'm being scammed. And I went over and helped her out. She was literally mouse clicks away from losing her entire life savings. And she finally got to the point where she said, I don't trust this guy. She hung up on him. She called me. And sure enough, they had gotten into her credit union, etc. So they were getting ready to take everything from her. And we stopped it in time. That's what you want. You want to be able to have your family and friends and neighbors understand that you are a force for good. You are helping them to avoid getting trapped and tricked and stolen from these folks because they have no scruples. They will steal from an old lady as easily as they will steal from a high schooler, both of whom may not understand that they're being scammed. It's just that the old lady may have more money. Just saying. So that's all I had for the moment. Did anybody have any questions before we stop sharing? Anybody have any questions? Okay, remember, incident response analyst. Oh, and I put down, it may not be cybersecurity. It may not be incident response. It may be under information security or information technology. If you take a look at those, make sure that you look at a variety of different ways that this job could be described. You'll find some nuggets in there. They may call it a security specialist or something, and it'll be over in physical security, but when you read it, it's like, that's not physical security, it's information security. So you've got to spend time looking through these things.
Hey, Scotty.
Yeah.
If you're finished with your statement, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
So I see that you're scrolling on Indeed. And one of the things I want to give a good hint to the mentees, you see where it says Incident Response Analyst there? Sometimes what I like to do is eliminate a keyword like analyst and see what incident response will pop up. And I'm sure this is what Scotty did. He typed it. Can I see your search for a second, Scotty?
I just did Incident Response Analyst.
Yep. Can you take off the analyst for a minute and just put incident response? Just to see what pops. I play with these.
That doubled the number.
Now, careful. Go back to your search. This is how searches work, and a lot of you guys know this already, but I'm going to go ahead and point this out just in case you don't know. So what Indeed's doing is going through all the job ads and looking for incidents, and they're looking for analysts. If there's two of both of them there, it's going to be pushed up to the top. So if you scroll to where the position is, you'll see something like house supervisor, drug room registered nurse. That's what RN is. That's not related to cybersecurity. So I like what Scotty did at the end. Goes analyst, incident response analyst. So go put analyst back up, Scotty. Here's where I'm going with this. And you're kind of saying this with, hey, this is not just under certain names. You'll see there's IT analyst there. I bet that's help desk, maybe. You're looking at tickets. Sales analyst, if you want an entry-level job, you're desperate. Program analyst is data. Network security analyst. That's
a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. 54. That might be entry level in Texas, especially. Supply chain analyst. That's if you want to get into that, that's fine. There's a business analyst role if you want to go into program management. A lot of these are soft skills, and if you just play around with the keywords, you'll get different positions that pop up. If he goes back to incident response, he will incident response analyst. You'll see that there's a bunch of different names that pop up. I saw malware analyst, which was interesting.
Right.
Here's a SOC incident analyst that does her SCADA. That's power plants and industrial controls.
Senior, mid-level information assurance. There's another one. Information assurance. It could be somewhere.
If you take that position name, copy and paste it into the search, you'll get other results as well, not just what you're looking for. And that could be your guide to get yourself in. Heavy information assurance.
12,000 jobs for information assurance. So some of these, hospice registered nurse, well, that's not exactly what you're looking for. But how about this one? coordinate delivery objectives, guidance and recommendation, maybe. Cybersecurity analyst, Arizona State University, Tempe. That's a 2-hour drive from me. Wow, maybe I'll go get hired there. Well, maybe not, but you know, look for those nuggets. Spend your time going through these things. Filter, refilter, take a look at it and say, well, that wasn't very good. I had one person, and then we've got to end. Our time is over. I had one person that contacted me, and he said, why is nobody hiring? And I went, what? He said, nobody's hiring. And I quickly jumped out on Indeed and on USA Jobs. And I looked at them both and I said, I see 140 vacancies in your zip code. And he went, oh, I was using the wrong filter. I'm like, well, there you go. So be flexible. These things are not 100% perfect. Be inventive and say, you know, maybe I want to look for, you know, something in relation to off shift or overseas, or, you know, these sorts of things. Look for them here, and who knows, you could end up getting yourself a great job in gutter that, you know, oh, by the way, they'll pay for your housing and your food and travel back and forth to the U.S. a couple times each year. And in many of these foreign countries, part of your salary is tax-free, tax-exempt. So maybe that'll work for you. You just don't know until you look for it. Okay? That's all I have, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Good stuff to talk about. So I'm going to finish up. And I thank you, Siobhan, for joining us. Look forward to working with you. Remember, everybody, send us your resumes, and Chris and I'll be happy to review them and help make sure that, you know, you're looking at the right stuff and you put the right stuff in front of, at the top of your resumes, so that it's captured in those first 7 seconds. They will rarely get to page 2. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you, Mr. Bond.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.